Today we're going to be talking about living a life worth living. All right? And now I have a lot of ways I can dive into this topic, right? This is a completely subjective thing. Don't let what I think a good life is interfere with your idea of a good life at all. This is one of the main problems with how the world is right now. Everybody's listening to 1,000 different voices talking about, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Motherfucker, first of all, what do you want to do? How do you want your life to look? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to get married? Maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to run around and fuck everything. What do you want to do? You know, you got a guy like Andrew Tate over here yelling about Bugattis and whores, and then you got Jordan Peterson yelling about taking responsibility. And honestly, I don't think there's really a wrong answer. There's probably a more fulfilling choice, which is something you have to dive into and really figure out. But I think different people are also wired differently. There are dopamine-centered people, which these people are going to be less sentimental. They're going to be more driven by novelty than anything else. Everybody's driven by novelty to some degree, but that's the main thing that drives these kinds of people. And frankly, you know, they can't stay still, right? And some people are a bit of both. Like I'd say for me, I'm a bit of both, but I'm probably more oxytocin driven, which is like the pair bonding chemical that your body produces, which is more about emotional bonds with people, but it also kind of has to do with sentimentality. And I'd say I'm more focused around that even still, right? And so, you know, what you got to do is you got to first figure out what kind you are. You got to figure out, you know, what you want to do. Do you want to be running around, you know, having a bunch of casual sex, never like really settling down, doing whatever you do? Or do you want to be the guy with a wife, and maybe you'll travel around a bit, you'll focus on your career, you'll just really double down on this. You're not going to be a complete degenerate snorting coke and, you know, banging hookers or whatever. So yeah, just decide like what is a good life to you, right? And now there is also something to be said for the idea of being content with what you have, right? And not necessarily that you don't chase more, right? But just accept what your current situation is. And then, you know, do what you got to do to, you know, get to the next stage, because humans do need to be going towards something, in my opinion. But also, the life you have right now is most likely the life that you once dreamed of. I know for myself, the freedom I have now, I'm able to do whatever I want with really no consequence. Like, that was what I dreamed of as a teenager. I hated having rules. That's why I wanted to smoke weed all the time. And at the time, that was my ideal life, was a life where I had an apartment where I could go there and smoke weed inside of it and go to work. That was about the pinnacle, you know, and maybe have a girlfriend, some shit like that. That was my dream life at the time. And the goalpost has shifted, because now I can do all of that. I don't smoke anymore. I don't know. I do sometimes, but it's not something I like to, you know, do very often, because it's unproductive and you don't really get anything out of it, right? But yeah, I think it's important to be content with where you are now, or at least grateful for it, and, you know, strive for more, because you need something to do. You need to keep on pushing forward towards whatever goals you have, you know, whether it's financial, or like you want to find a way to make enough money online to travel the world, or it doesn't matter what it is. You do need something you're moving towards, but you also need to be grateful for where you are right now, because at the end of the day, even if you have some lofty goal, maybe you want to make 7 figures a year and be able to, you know, run around the world doing whatever you want, seeing different women, blah, 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 then you'll get there and you'll still be unhappy. And now you'll want 10 million a year. You'll want 8 figures maybe. You'll want 100 mil. Maybe you want to become a billionaire. You know, but the point is, the goal is always going to get bigger, and if your main driver in life is like, oh, once I achieve this thing, I'm going to be happy, you know, you're never going to be happy, right? And you're never going to be content living like that. You're never going to be grateful for what you have. And then if you lose everything you have, you're going to be extra depressed and extra resentful and suicidal and possibly homicidal. It's so you do need to ground yourself, I believe, in this life, because the human mind is meant to literally like look ahead. That's why our eyes are where they are, on our skull, and move towards something. So you need to be doing that, to feel some sense of fulfillment or accomplishment. It needs to be a goal that means something to you in some way, even if it's hedonistic, I guess. I don't really know if that's the best way for anybody to go about it, um, but yeah, that's personally what I think. People say, oh, you either need to be content with what you have now, you either need to achieve your standards or lower them, which is to some degree true. But also, at the same time, I think you need to be grateful for what you have, because you once wanted this, your exact life now, which is kind of trippy if you think about it, because whatever your goal is in your head, you're probably going to reach eventually. It might not be next year, it might be 10 years from now, but if you keep going towards it, you will reach it eventually. Yeah, so I don't know. I hope you got something from this. Comment down below, it helps me out. Subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be part of the community, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.